with this system. Okay, so let's talk about what is going on for us these days. It's obviously a really crazy time, and coronavirus is not pretty. I feel very grateful that I have not come into personal contact with that, but I have students with it and friends. So that is personal contact, and it's hard. It's really tough. It's scary. And I think it's affecting everybody at some level, even if it's unconscious. It's almost like there's a nervous energy in the air. Does everybody know what I'm talking about? There's almost like an underlying anxiety it's like an anxious vibe in the air. You know what I'm talking about? Tell me. Okay, it's not just me, right? I think it's pretty common. So I'm wondering now it's reversed. Okay. I'm wondering how this is affecting everybody out there with your art. I mean, is it making it easier? Tell me in the comments. Is it making it easier or harder for you to get into your practicing, your making art, your writing, your painting, whatever it is that you like to do as your creative pursuit, either as a professional or as a hobby? I'd like to know how you experience this world situation in relation to your creativity. Is it making it harder or easier? Let's hear. Olga says, I'm not anxious about the virus. Great. I'm anxious about other people being anxious and uptight. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, and the thing is that we all influence each other. And even if it's just through the internet, that's powerful too. So or watching the news, even if it seems far removed, there's just kind of an energy. So when we're around or hearing about people who are anxious or suffering, I mean, I know personally, I get really upset when I watch the news, even if it's about people on the other side of the earth. Like every time I think about Syria, I get, it's heavy. It's a heavy thought for me. So we are influenced heavily by others, and that's why community, a positive, uplifting community like what we have here, is absolutely essential to keep our mindsets on track and to stay focused towards our goals and what's really important to us. We need to cultivate that community, that connection with a positive vibe, and contribute to that by putting out our positive energy. That's where artists, I think, have a really essential, important role. Oh, I just realized I don't think I even turned on my microphone. I hope you're hearing me okay. This is also a new system. So give me a second. Can you hear me now? Can you tell me if this is better? I have a feeling the sound should be a lot better. I just turned on a microphone. But anyway, there's always a time lag, so I'm not getting your, I would love your feedback on the microphone. Okay, Olga, good. Sound is good. Great, thanks. Okay, so talking about the problem that a lot of people are experiencing right now. So let's just paint this picture. It's not pretty, it's not pleasant. It's probably going to make you feel uncomfortable just from thinking about it. But I want us to go there because I want you to actually feel the energy that then you can turn around and use to make great art. Gary says it sounds about the same. Okay, good. That means if I forget my microphone, it's not a big deal next time. Thanks for that feedback. Okay, worry, fear, anxiety. Who out there is feeling less motivated? I want to hear it. Are you feeling less motivated to go to your art, or are you feeling more motivated because you need it? You know you need it for your mental health. That's another possibility. Are you finding it difficult to stay organized and focused with social distancing and not having your regular routines of going outside of the house? And as an artist or performing artist of any kind, is it harder for you because you're not being able to go out and do what you love to do with other people? Colin says yes. Okay. Olga is feeling more motivated. Agnes feels less motivated. Okay, so there's a wide variety here, but we all have a common problem. Problem is not the right word. We all have a common challenge, regardless of the circumstances. Coronavirus or no coronavirus, we all have the same challenge in front of us. As human beings, when you feel fear, worry, anxiety, lack of motivation, discomfort, pain, when you feel uncomfortable either mentally or physically, but today we're mostly talking about mindset. If you feel uncomfortable, the challenge is to know what to do about it. Because as an artist, you want to get better at your art. You want to play better, and you want to play with less tension. Problem is when you have anxiety or fear of any kind, any color, flavor, a different variety of fear, it all comes down to fear. If you're experiencing fear in your system, that causes, it's like a ripple effect through your whole system where your body goes into startle and you will experience some increase in tension. And I'm talking about muscular tension as well as emotional tension, stress, negative experiences of stress. So those negative emotions and thoughts translate into a negative experience in your body that causes compression and tightness. And it's harder to get inspired, it's harder to get motivated, and it's really literally harder to move your body when you're in that startle response, unless you're going into a flee response, like, because the startle is a fight, flight, freeze response. And if you're going into a flight response, you're going to move very fast, but you're going to want to run out of your house and run down the street and go somewhere. And you can do that, but you can't go where you might want to go these days, which might be to go visit a friend or something. So that's all to say that our thoughts and our emotions are intimately connected with the body. In fact, they're not separate. Any thought is physical, actually. Think about that. Thoughts are not abstract things floating around. They are neurons firing and wiring together in the gray matter up here, in your brain. It's physical. And as soon as you think a thought, it translates into, it's like it influences the rest of your body too. It stimulates the nervous system. And it either gives you energy and you are like full of energy and feeling positive and mobile and flexible and responsive and free, which is what we all want, right? Do you want to be free? Yes, yes. Or we kind of start to shut down and go into turtle mode, or we play dead like a spider. Oh, if I don't breathe, maybe they won't see me and I won't die. Or we go into wanting to fight the situation. There's not much you can do to fight a virus except take care of your immune system the best you can and stay away from other people with it and wash your hands, with the things that we know we have to do. But other than that, you can't really go fight it. It's a microscopic little thing. But what can we do? We do have free will as human beings. And we can learn how to use it constructively. So, how do we do that? How do you learn how to think constructively? You have to know how to change your mindset. First of all, you have to know what you want. It always starts with, what do I want? What is your purpose? There are 5 pillars to my work, which is the art of freedom. The 5 pillars are purpose, mind, body, spirit, and artistry. Got to start with purpose. You have to know what you want. If you want to feel free and mobile and courageous and powerful and expressive and creative, then you need to know how to manage this, your mindset. You have to have tools. I'm going to pop over to the comments and see what you're all saying here, and then I'll go on. Gary, hey Gary, and hello Colin. Gary says, I'm finding it more difficult to make time to play. Okay, that's interesting. And that's actually a really common problem regardless of coronavirus or not, but everything's kind of different and changed. Our routines are different, and the things we have to do are different now for a lot of us during the coronavirus. So if you have other obligations, suddenly new obligations or new responsibilities, or new things that you have to do now that you didn't have to do before, then organization, time management, those skills are going to become even more important. Finding time to, do your art practice or whatever it is that you do artistically. Gary, I know what you do. You're playing an instrument. As so many of us, finding time. So actually what I would suggest is a simple shift in words just for you, Gary, and everybody. We do this all the time. It's like, oh, I can't find time. I don't have time. Simple shift is to wonder, do I have any control over that? How can I make time? That's a creative endeavor. You're creating time for yourself. How can I create time for what's important to me, for my art? And if artists need to know how essential art is for our well-being and for the world. I hammer this home. We are essential. Artists are essential. All right? Throw out some emojis. Put out some hearts and thumbs up if you believe that art is absolutely essential. Let's cheer that on. Like 10,000 cheers for art and artists. What we do is absolutely essential. It is for our well-being, but it's also for putting out that creative vibe, that positive spirit into the world. It's healing. Art is healing for ourselves and everyone. Yes, Agnes, I love it. The emojis, great. I'm seeing them flying. Love it. Okay, what else is coming up here? Jane. Hello, Jane. Jane says, I'm not so anxious about the virus as I am that we won't learn anything from it. That's why I'm here, and that's why you're here. Yes, we are learning together. And especially for the environment. Oh, yes. That's a topic for another, that's a whole other topic. But yeah, I am so with you. She continues to say, I like the fact that there's more of a sense of community around the world. Yes. I'm finding difficulty practicing without anything to practice for. Yes, less motivated to practice. Okay, yes. That again brings us back to the purpose. Why are we artists? Why are we creating art? Why is that important for each of us? Why are you a writer if you're a writer? Why are you a musician if you're a musician? Why practice? Why write? Ask yourself this every day. This is the first one of my 5, what I call my 5 pre-pearls. Okay? 5 pre-pearls, which I'm not going to go into right now, but it's something I teach all of my students. And the first one is desire or purpose. Asking yourself, what do I do? What do I want? So I call it a pre-pearl because it's 5 things to do with yourself, your mind, body, self, before you do anything, before you practice, before you write, before you do the dishes, before you do anything that you would like to learn from, anything that you want to use to improve yourself or help yourself heal or perform, practice. It's before. These are the 5 pre-pearls, and the first one is desire. So yes, very, very important to get in touch with that. Angela says, I'm less motivated also. Yes. So again, we have to know why. Olga says, art is essential, music is essential. Yes, yes, yes. Jane says, I am more self-conscious because my neighbors are there all the time and it's so quiet. What if your neighbors are dying to get the energy that you can give them through practicing? Why assume that they won't want it? You could talk with them. It's an idea. Because you need to be able to express yourself through your art. And maybe you can work out an arrangement with them. Just a thought. So don't let fear of connecting with them somehow keep you from doing something that is really good for you and essential for you. Of course, there are other solutions there too, but you could try that. Just an idea. If you do that, let me know how it goes. Okay, so we're pretty clear on what the problem is, And the solution is to really start to pay attention to your mindset. You have to have the tools to take care of your mindset. Can you see things differently? The way I see it, we're either looking at things through the filter of fear, and I'm including all negative things: fear, worry, nervousness, anxiety, hatred, anger, things that we experience as uncomfortable or negative. You can either look at it through fear. All of those things stem from fear, deep down, I believe. You can either look at things, this whole situation, this whole environment, your lack of motivation, your worry about things through the lens of fear, or you can get curious and you can wonder, is there a different way that I could look at this situation? Is there a different way that I could show up? Can I think differently? Can I make a change in myself that could allow myself to respond differently to the situation? Can I get charged? Can I get control over my thinking? Can I control myself in a conscious, constructive way? And I'm not talking about pushing ourselves around. That's not the type of control I'm talking about. I'm talking about awareness. Control comes through awareness. True control. If it's not coming through awareness and a deeper wisdom, then it can become abusive. That's not the kind of control I'm talking about. We abuse ourselves all the time, forcing ourselves to do things that we don't want to do. That's a form of self-abuse. We do it to other people too, right? So, can you flip the switch and get curious? Curiosity is a key, a really strong key, really important, essential key. So start there. Start with the curiosity. And then once you're open to wondering, you're curious, is there another way? Is there another way for me to experience what I'm experiencing? Can I take this negative energy and channel it? Can I actually just maybe not even see it as negative? Maybe it's just energy. We talk about nervous energy. It's energy. But we're using that energy mindlessly and thoughtlessly to make ourselves small and tight. That's the habitual mindless state. But if we practice conscious awareness and curiosity, and we open up that way, we have a chance to use our free will. We can choose a different way. That's where the Alexander technique comes from. And all of my work with the art of freedom and the way I teach the Alexander technique these days, which is called Primal Alexander. It's hands-free. I was teaching hands-free before I found Mio. Before I learned Primal Alexander, I was already teaching hands-free because it works. But Primal Alexander presents a system that is so clear and so simple and so well organized that I just use that now. And then, of course, I add in all of my other interests and who I am to my art of freedom practice. But that's where to go. The tools are there. They're there. So anybody who's having difficulty these days with those so-called negative energy, first get curious. Is there another way? Then be open to finding another way. And then when another way presents itself, you'll be more likely to recognize it and accept it and take it in and try it out and experiment with it. because you can learn how to harness that energy. You can learn how to shift it and turn it around so that it's not working against you. If you have that fearful energy, it's actually you working against yourself. It's self-sabotaging. It really is. You don't want that. You can't make great art in this state. You just can't. You'll be able to eke out something, and it might actually even be really good and successful, but it's nowhere remotely close to fulfilling your potential when you do it with that compressed, fearful energy. Imagine for a moment that you could get out of your own way and just stop judging the energy you're experiencing and harness it through the power of your mind. What if you could harness that energy, turn it around, and use it and shine it out? Energy is always moving. When you're fearful, you're kind of getting stuck. But the energy is there, and it turns into shaking. And that's why you shake when you're scared, because the energy wants to get out and you're just clamping it down. So what if you just let go and let it out? That's why art is so important. It's your outlet. Art is an expressive outlet to share that art. First of all, not even to share it, to get it out of your own system so that it doesn't kill you. Because really, that compressive energy cuts off years from your life. There's research on that and stress and how it shortens lifespan. But it also not only shortens your lifespan, it gets in the way of the things you want. If you want to make music, you want to sing, you want to move and dance and play and paint and write and sculpt and make pottery, whatever it is that you do, embroidery, you're going to make so much more beautiful, meaningful art, and you're going to be able to connect with other people so much more easily when you're open and free and you recognize that the dangers are real. Coronavirus is real, and we need to be aware of it, but then we need to use any kind of negative energy and turn it around and shift it, and you can turn it into incredibly powerful, positive energy, so that you can make even better art because you had to overcome those fears. You can do that regardless of the virus. And I mean, pre-virus times, you could do the same thing. Post-virus times, we're going to do the same thing. But it's so present now in, like I said, it's kind of in the air, that anxiety, that tension, and everything is so present. It's so strong that even, like Olga said, she doesn't have a problem with it, but she gets anxious because other people are anxious. It's contagious, right? The coronavirus is contagious, but our reactions are just as contagious. So we actually have a human responsibility to ourselves and to the whole world, to other people out there. And yes, we have a very, very, very strong responsibility to our environment. I think it was Jane that said that. I totally agree with you. So you can only do that if you overcome your fears, and you have to learn how to do that. You already know how to do it, but you need to optimize how you do it so that you can do it every time, and you know it's happening and you know what to do, that it's not just, well, I'm going to get over it this time, and I don't know how I did it, but I forgot about it, or whatever. You have to have a system. You have to know what you're doing with your mind. So, does this make sense? Okay, I'm going to hop over to comments now and see what you're saying. Patricia, the awareness is so essential. I'm putting that, I like that one. I'm putting it up there. Thank you, Patricia. And Olga, yes, emojis. Throw them out there. I love to see them. Olga says, I'm good at looking through the fear filter. I'm a know-it-all. Yep. They kind of go together, don't they? You know why? Because when we're afraid, when we tend to be fearful, we need to have a sense of control. Like, I know what to do, and that's not exactly the same as what I'm talking about. When I talk about you need to have, and I know you're not saying this, I know you get this, but I'm just elaborating. It's like you have to have skills, you have to know what you're doing, you have to have a system. Like, if this happens, I'm going to do this with my mind. It's so helpful to have that kind of control over ourselves. But it's a control that's easy, it's effortless. It's not, like I said, it's not self-abusive and pushing yourself around. When we think we know, and we need to know, and we want to know, and there's kind of this need to have things under our control, that stems, like you're saying, that stems from a fear mindset rather than a loving mindset where, okay, I love myself and the world and the people around me, and therefore I have a responsibility to life to know what I'm doing with myself. That's a completely different vibe. I hope you all get that. Totally different kind of control. It's a control of knowing oneself moment to moment to moment to moment in the present, and you're totally aware of what's actually happening. It's present. You're not trying to control the future. You're being in charge of yourself right now. So, yeah, thanks, Olga. Yeah, Patricia, got to put that one up too, because I love talking about, this is something I talk about with my students, the land of I don't know. Yes, and it comes from my I wonder practice. Yes, I love it. I do love it. You know, it can be terrifying to not know. For instance, if somebody's sick and they don't know if they have coronavirus, that could be really scary. But what if they don't? Why assume that you do? I mean, why assume that you might? Assume that you might not. Totally different, reaction in the body, response in the body. The land of I don't know, it can be terrifying and it can also be liberating, again, depending on which side you look at. Got to flip that switch. Okay, great. Let's see. Angela says, hey, Angela. Angela says, I'm afraid of not being good enough. I'm judging myself. I always don't believe that I'm really as good as I am. Yeah. I would love everybody out there who can relate to Angela to give her a thumbs up. Just throw it out there. Just hit that button so we can have tons of thumbs up here, because Angela, that is so common. Yeah, and Rosemary. Hey, Rosemary. Hey, so happy to have you here with me. Rosemary says, I have so much self-doubt too. Yes, that's another thing I teach my students about. I call them the doubt monsters. We have to learn how to be aware of the doubt monsters and then say hello, goodbye. And there, I have a system, practice for that, which you're going to learn. And by the way, if you don't know that I have a group, right now it's for musicians, but I'm thinking of creating a new group for creatives who are not just musicians. If anybody wants that, message me and tell me, because I'm not sure yet whether I'm going to do it. But yes, so in the group, in my Alexander Musicians group, we meet twice a week, and there's a self-study course and all kinds of good stuff based on the principles of the Alexander technique and my Art of Freedom work. And the Doubt Monsters is a really fun thing that we dive into in that group. I also work on that with my private clients in coaching as well. Angela says, this keeps me from sitting in my chair and playing. Yes, self-doubt is a monster. Yeah, okay, so you're saying all that self-doubt and self-criticism and judgment is preventing you from actually doing what you love. That's sad. Yeah, so you got to not let it, and you need to develop that powerful mindset that I can teach you, okay? And I am so happy you're open to learning, Angela. It is fantastic. And Gary says, too, it's a monster, has held me back many times. Fear, self-doubt, the worst. The worst. Really, self-doubt is the worst. Self-doubt is worse than fear, in my book, in my experience also. I don't go there much anymore. And if I do, I just go there a little bit because I catch myself really quick and I get myself out of self-doubt. But years ago, I remember times when self-doubt took over my life. It was a very dark place to be. Very painful. Very, very painful. There's nothing worse than self-doubt. So if you know that you're in that, first of all, celebrate that you know that you're not, the worst is when you don't even know that you have self-doubt. That's like really scary arrogance. So that's another problem. But self-doubt, if you know it, first thing is to be aware of it and celebrate. Thank God I know it. That's actually a good thing. Anything you're aware of, celebrate. Even if it seems negative, it's good because it's in your consciousness. And then you can do something about it. So celebrate that you can do something about that self-doubt. We all have self-doubt, so it's not a big deal. It can become a big deal if you're not aware of it. And then if you're aware of it and don't do anything about it, then you spiral down, down, down further. That's not a good thing. So you don't want to let it get there. Okay. I love your thumbs up, Mary. Yes. Glad you're here, Mary. Okay, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. And now I want to just tell you that I have something that, I mean, if you want to join my group, if you're not a member of my group, message me. But that wasn't my intention that's not what I actually was going to talk about now, but I just want people to know that it exists. And what I really wanted to put out there today for now is, oh yes, and Jane says self-sabotage. Yes, another word that's another doubt monster. There are many doubt monsters with many names. They're little creatures that I actually have a picture that I use in my self-study course with cute little monsters. And so it's like, oh, no big deal. It's like, hello, goodbye. It's kind of fun to play with them, actually. You don't pay much attention. It's like you say hello and then you pay no attention to it. And then you redirect your thinking with constructive thinking in the ways that the ways that I teach my students. So, yep, self-sabotage is a big one. And I actually want to talk about that now. So I'm going to try out this new system because I want to share something with you that I have to offer, which is it's a mindset training. And it's not expensive. It's a comprehensive mindset training that you can use every day. It has two parts to it. I call it a toolbox, a toolkit, and there are two toolboxes in the toolkit. And I just want to show you on the screen because it's going to be easier to talk about it if I can show you. So I'm going to try the new system to share my screen and see if this works. So tell me if you're seeing my screen. Hopefully you are. It looks to me like you're seeing my screen. So I would love your feedback, but I think it's working. So I'm gonna just continue. So yeah, here's the question. And Jane just mentioned sabotage. So my question to everybody out here is your mind sabotaging your creative flow? So you may very well say yes, like Olga, right? I mean, it happens to all artists at some point. So I would love for you to learn how to deprogram yourself for artistic success with this mindset toolkit. Because you don't want your mental outlook and your habitual mindset to be holding you hostage. Okay, I'm just going to read through this a little bit for you because I wrote it thinking about what I was writing, so it's easier than just talking off the cuff. But when you ignore the fact that your mind, body, self, are your primary instrument, more important to you, more central to your art than your violin, flute, pen, or paintbrush, and when you don't take committed action to get control over your mindset, you'll keep wasting time trying and trying and trying and not feeling motivated, and you'll block yourself from realizing your potential. That's just a recipe for frustration. Anybody get frustrated that you don't feel motivated or that you feel worried and that this isn't going away? It's a recipe for excess muscular tension, burnout, and I have to say that if this goes on for very long, it's a perfect storm that very, very, very likely will end up in physical pain. Okay? A lot of people come to me because they're in physical pain, back pain, neck pain, tendonitis, carpal tunnel, all those types of things, and they come to me because they know that I can help them with that as an Alexander Technique teacher and as a musician. I've been there. I've had issues like that before. I've had days where I couldn't play because I had pain in my pinky. It happens very, very rarely now. And if it does, I know how to fix it. Like, I know exactly what to do. So those pains, though, most likely didn't start overnight, right? Pain, unless like you step on a nail and it's obvious, pain starts with your mind. It's how you're thinking about things. It's how you're approaching life. It's how you approach your artwork. If you're feeling hard on yourself, if you're overly self-critical, if you're a perfectionist, if you're worried about what other people think so that you become a people pleaser, if you're pushing yourself around, forcing yourself to practice or to write or to do whatever it is you do when you really don't feel like doing it, if you're doing that over a long period of time, it's very likely to end up in physical pain. But there were warning signs long before you had the physical pain that you probably noticed but you didn't pay any attention to. And maybe you even didn't understand that those were not helpful things. Like a lot of music teachers tell their students to practice 4, 5, 6 hours a day. I think that's criminal, personally, because unless the student is exceptionally able to do that with ease, but especially if someone else is telling you to do it, that is almost impossible to do with ease. People don't know how to practice tension-free, stress-free, pain-free. So I'm going off on a tangent here, but I'm just saying that I'm talking about mindset today, and it's a warning also, because if you don't have pain, but you have a fearful mindset, I don't want you to end up in pain. Take this as prevention, okay? The Alexander technique was intended by Alexander to be a preventive technique so that people could learn these skills and use them without having to go through all the suffering that they might have later, like physical pain. You can prevent those things if you want to. And if you recognize that there is a connection between how you think and what you get in your body. You know, our culture is not primed to think that way. So it is a paradigm shift for a lot of us. And all I can do is tell you, this is my experience from a whole life of being a professional musician. And I've been practicing Alexander technique for a while now, since 2003. And I started the technique because I had neck pain. But I was also very unhappy. So that pain absolutely was completely wedded to my mindset. I did not have a happy mindset. I did not have a happy outlook at that time. I did as a child and teenager, and things were great, and then things slowly kind of closed in on me. And yeah, so my mindset absolutely created the pain that I was experiencing that brought me to the Alexander technique. And I learned very quickly, thankfully, that it was because of what it was doing up here, and my pain was gone literally within a couple lessons. Now, it's not always so fast for people. I was maybe an unusual case, but it does happen. I have 2 students in my Alexander Musicians group right now who have had a lot of pain over time, and they're pain-free now. And then it might come back a little bit, but they know what to do about it, so they can get rid of it again. So, and Jane says, definitely I get frustrated, but usually that makes me tired. Yeah, because it takes a lot of energy to be tight and frustrated. And your frustration translates into tension, as you know. And it's exhausting because you're using your muscles all day long to keep yourself tight. We don't even realize it. And yes, that's exhausting. So I used to have like no energy. You wouldn't even believe it. I had horrible allergies. I would have to sleep for like an hour every afternoon. I didn't have energy for my kids throughout the whole day. I was just fatigued all the time until I found Alexander technique. And then I learned how to stop doing all that. And now it's like, I just like have so much energy. It's crazy. I also used to be really afraid of speaking in public. Obviously that's gone. Lots of positive side effects from the technique. Anyway, let me go on here. So you're learning how to retrain your mind. You've got to decide to stop blocking your creative energy with fear and distractions, by the way, and take charge of your mind, body, self now, right now, and it's always a new now. So you have to know how, however. So the tools that you need to give your mind this kind of a positive jumpstart are here, just waiting to help you step into creative flow with ease. So of course you can figure out how to change your mindset on your own. Okay, this is not the only way to do it, obviously. But if you've been trying to do that for a long time and you're not getting the results you want, you might want to try a different way. And so I'm offering this mindset toolkit here for you. for that. It's not just for musicians. It really isn't. I created it for musicians, but the content is totally for anybody, especially creatives. So in this training, it's a short video series. It's self-study, okay? So it's just a thing. It's a series that gets delivered into your email. You get powerful new tools to help you get clarity and control over your thinking, overcome self-doubt, physical pain, discomfort, negativity, performance anxiety, self-sabotage, etc., etc., etc. And you get to enjoy your creative process more every day. So like I said, there are 2 toolboxes. You get the quick mindset reboot. It's a 3-minute process you can use anytime. It's a great warm-up. That includes my 3 magic phrases and 2 foundational primal Alexander etudes. The toolbox number 2 is my simple 5-step daily practice. It helps you get focused, clear your mental clutter, release excess tension from your body in just 5 to 10 minutes a day. You face your fears, wake up your positive thinking, and get focused for powerful, soulful artistry. So I've had a lot of people learn what's in here and some of what they're saying. Eric says, this does pure miracles for me. It's a form of practice that gives comfort, peace, self-compassion. I now have more hope for the future with my cello. I love that from Eric. Angel says, the results were nothing short of amazing. When I just get out of the way and let the music flow, my playing is great. My body's more relaxed, I feel focused and light, and I get more accomplished. Anne here. Anne says, as a result, I'm more collected, content, and present. My ensemble playing has become richer and my violin sounds better. And very important, you non-musicians, listen up. The effects go beyond music. This is not about music making. It's about living and making art. And then there's also a bonus that I've thrown in here. It's a free download with access to my list of red flag phrases and also my freedom directions process, which helps you spot habitual triggers and teaches you how to deal with them on the spot. So today I've decided to offer this for half off. So if anybody wants this today, you can get this 2-part training with the 2 toolboxes, which is the quick mindset reboot and toolbox number 2 with your simple 5-step daily practice for half off, which is what, $63.50. Okay, that's 50% off. And so if you want that, you can use this coupon code, which is Great Mindset 50. That expires tonight at midnight, so if you want that, just go over there and grab it now. I'm going to give you the link for that in just a second. So I'm going to just put this link to the page I showed you in the comments, if I can do that. Uh-oh, it looks like I can't. Okay, so I am going to have to send this to you. I'm going to put it into the group when I'm done, so you can easily access that. And you might, I'll also tell you what the codes are, if you just want to jot that down. It's Great Mindset 50. And if you don't decide today, you can still get it this week for 25% off. But really, there's no point in waiting because you want to learn this now. So that's what I've got for you here. I'm going to go back to my camera, see if I can do that easily. Apparently not so easily. Oh yes, great, here we are. I hope you can see me again. Somebody tell me if that worked, but looks like it did. So, okay, so I hope this was useful for you, and I hope you're curious about the toolkit. It's really very, very powerful, and it's so easy. It's just like so simple. If you sign up, you get a series of, I think, 5 emails with 5 videos. It's a short training, but it's very powerful. And it gives you something you can do every single day and in every situation. There's that quick mindset reboot that just takes like a minute or so. You can do it anytime, anywhere. And then you have a very quick, simple, I mean, you could take longer with it if you want, but it can be quick to go through the 5 steps of the daily practice. And that helps with performance anxiety as well as generalized anxiety. It helps you overcome fear, worry, procrastination, lack of motivation. There's the difficulty with lack of community and social distancing, all those things that are really hard that require a shift in your mindset. This is going to help you tremendously. So if you're curious about that, check out the link that I'm going to post after I'm done, because I can't do that from this system here, apparently. And I think that's about it. So if anybody has any questions or comments, I would love to, I'll stay on for a little bit more and see if anybody else has something to share. Who actually recognizes that they need to get better control over their mindset? If you do recognize that you need that, like regardless of the toolkit that I just told you about, if you recognize that you could be improving your mindset skills, I would love to know that, and it would be interesting to see, because I think all of us, that's my hunch, is like everybody needs to have better control over what's going on up here. Olga says, I do. Yeah. And Kay says, yes. Patricia says, frustration equals tension. Yes, I'm going to put that up there again, too. So true. And that goes for all of those negative emotions that we have. Other thing to remember is that there really is no such thing as a negative emotion. It's just an energy. And that's maybe the first mindset shift that we can all make. If you take away just one thing from today, remember that emotions are just energy. Okay? And so the less you judge them and qualify them as negative and positive, I'm just doing that for expedience here, but the truth is they're not negative, they're not positive, they're either constructive or destructive for sure. But if you think of them as bad or good, that's not helpful. It just isn't. But if you think of any emotion as just energy, that's a positive mind shift. That's helpful. That's constructive. So if you just take away one thing, does this make sense? Everybody, if that makes sense, write it in there. Tell me, give me feedback on that one. Emotion is just energy. Put that into the comments and solidify it. In fact, really, if it's easy for you, type in right now, emotion is just energy. That way, when you write it out, you're training your brain to think that way and to remember that. So, and also if you write things out on paper, it's better for learning when you do that. So I strongly recommend you write it out, okay? Olga says, I also know I need endless tools to do that because I'm like a child. I do something many times. Oops, oh, sorry, I just lost that. I do something many times and my brain stops responding to it. So I have to go on to the next tool. Yeah. Right. So it would be interesting to see what would happen if one of your tools was to let go of all your tools. Which actually is one of the tools. You need to learn how to let go of expectations, so that every time you use a tool, it's fresh, it's new, right? That's essential for learning, and it's essential for growth, because you can't do the same thing twice, ever. You have to really approach anything you do with a fresh mindset. And Olga says, what? Did that like scramble your brain? When I said, what if your tools was to let go of your tools? Crazy thought. Yeah, that's something for you to think about. Now, I'm not saying, okay, for instance, the cycle is a tool. That's in the toolbox. That's actually part of the mindset toolkit, but it's something that you know, everybody here knows. I teach that every day. That's a very, very, very powerful tool, the cycle. That primal Alexander etude is very powerful. So, but if you start doing it in a way that is rote, it's like doing your scales mindlessly every day. It's like that, it's not useful anymore. And I think that's what you're talking about when you say, my brain stops responding to it. Yeah. But what if you could throw out the old way you did the cycle? Throw it out, and then approach it and do it again and find out what's going to happen this time. You have to throw out your expectations, throw out the old way of doing things, Throw out the way you did your scales yesterday. Throw out the way you did it half an hour ago and approach it with a beginner's mind. That's why, actually, when you say, because I'm like a child, there's a positive way to be childlike too, right? Children can lose interest in something. That's what you're saying. Yeah, I'm like a child because, well, I have a toy, I play with it, and then I throw it away, all right? And then I go do something else. That's being childish, right? You can be childlike and approach that toy again the next day with fresh eyes and do something completely different with it, right? You might have the same set of blocks, but every day you get to build something new with those blocks. You have the same notes every day. Every day you get to build a different scale. You can put them in the same order, but it can have a completely different color, different shape, different tempo, different phrasing, different dynamics. You've got to approach everything with fresh beginner's mind and a childlike, not childish attitude. So I think you're with me there. I'm going to put that up on my screen. Yes, Olga's with me. Clean slate. Yes, love it. Okay, everybody. So I hope this was useful. Is there anything else here? Barb says fresh and new. Like that, I get so excited about a song and then bored with it. Yes, kind of scrambled you, but fresh and new I need. Yes. And that's what makes the Alexander technique, and especially my Art of Freedom mindset, really different. It's different from everything else. My 3 magic phrases are magic, and they are in the toolkit. If you want to know my 3 magic phrases and learn about them and go in depth with them a little bit, you need my toolkit. Okay? You can get a lot out of what I'm sharing here online with the daily practice from my timeline and the videos here. There's a ton of stuff that people can learn from here, but there is a whole other level of learning that you can get, which starts for some people with the mindset toolkit. Other people dive straight into my group program, which is fantastic. But there's so much more, and I would love for everybody here to be able to realize what else is possible for them out there. So, great. Big thanks, big you're welcome. Okay, that's it for today, and I will hopefully see you all. If you want to come here next Monday, of course, every Monday, Mondays with Jennifer. And if you have friends that you think could benefit from what I shared today, I'm doing the replay live again today at 5 o'clock. Same thing, but I'll be there so that I can communicate with people live. And daily, of course, from my timeline, I do the cycle and silent meditation for anybody. It's public. So if you have creative friends or people who are feeling anxious or worried in any way, please share my timeline with them, bring them to the Daily Calm, or welcome them to this group. That'll be even better. Just make sure that when you invite people to this group, you tell them what it's about and that they need to answer the questions, because I'm not bringing in anybody at this point who is not willing to answer those questions. And giving the email address is just part of that, because I give a lot, and so it's a bit of an exchange so that I can keep communicating and giving through email also. So Colin and Gary, you're welcome, and Marjolaine and Patricia and Angela, I'm so glad you're all here, and I'll see you next week, if not before. Have a great day, and don't be scared. Just love. Okay, lots of love to you. Bye-bye.